that we have less time with them.
And this is where you have to balance it.
It's important to go for all the therapies, a bit like speech, OT, physio.
I think it depends on your child and the difficulties also that they are having. I'm glad you brought that up because I had a parent who I saw yesterday for the first time, and she wanted me to write a letter to the therapist saying she wants 2 sessions a week of OT and 2 sessions a week of speech, and I completely disagreed because I felt that actually this boy needs more time to be with the parent and do more things with the parent and go out to the playground and things like that. So there has to be a balance.
Sometimes when they go to the therapist, sometimes they don't do much, they don't pick up much. But then when you do it at home, sometimes it's better.
Yeah.
So how do you balance it?
Okay. So it depends. You're obviously a hands-on mom who does a lot with him. And I can tell you, I have many parents who come from outstation and they cannot come for OT once a week to KL because they're 3 hours away, or they cannot afford it. But with those parents, they take away some activities that they can do with their kid at home. And it's not how often you go to therapy, hence ABA a number of hours. There is no proof that 30 or 35 hours is any better than 15 hours. There's no evidence for that. Nobody has come to a conclusion as to how many hours is good. Okay, it's the methodology that works. So in that sense, what is more important for me, I feel, and what we see is when parents pick up skills and do it with their kids, the kid does better.
Yeah, but when once they pick up, then when you go back to the OT and they teach you another thing. Then you go back and do it, and then it's okay, then they do another thing.
Yeah.
So it's like non-stop.
But life is non-stop, right? So we all move on, right? So you're feeling the pressure. But that's a good sign that, they're picking up skills, and that comes to another thing. Sometimes you go too fast, and your child has an issue with retaining information. So you learn something, you go back the next week, you get taught something different, you come back and practice it, and then suddenly you realize, hey, they forgot the previous one. Yeah, and that's to do with our kids' working memory, and every child has different levels of working memory, which tells you that you need to keep revisiting some of those things or doing it in different ways. So if you're talking about, I'll give you the example of numbers again. You can count, and your child then picks up that, oh, he now knows 2 apples, 5 apples, he knows the difference in that number concept. And then you move on and you start teaching him plus and minus. Then you go and you say, oh, can you give mommy 5 pieces of Lego, and the child like stumped. But then they can do plus and minus, right? That tells you they're not picking up that skill. They're not understanding that plus and minus. If they don't know what 5 is, don't move on with that. Go back again, reinforce, tell the teacher, okay, yeah, you want me to do this activity, but I think it's just memorizing it. Okay. I always say this, in terms of academic learning, it will come when the child is ready. My youngest daughter, whom I spent the least time with, her sisters taught her how to read. And at 3.5, she learned the times table, okay, up to 5. It's like a comedy show for my older 2 kids. I'll come home and say, hey, guess what she learned today? And, it was like, we're having a party trick. What's 2 times 1? 2. 2 times 2. She couldn't understand it. Okay? She could say the times table, and it was something that would show off to your aunties, uncles. We taught her, not mommy. She knows the times table. By the time she came to like 8, 7, standard 1, standard 2, she completely forgot it. And she had to relearn it, but she could understand it this time. Like, oh, why do we do times? It's like, 2 groups of 2s is 4. So, even in my own, people say, oh, she's super genius. I said, no, it's just a party trick that she learned. Okay? So you have kids who go to Kumon and they do all the addition. But when you say to them, there's 4 of us in the room, and 1 more comes in, they don't understand. Okay? So you have to make sure your kids understand what